Good evening and welcome to our July 19th, 2014 Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present, and pursuant to section 52-4-207 concerning electronic meetings, Councilmember Garner is attending with us via teleconference. We now have our Pledge of Allegiance, and we will turn the time to Councilmember White, who has a special guest here today.
Thanks, Chair Heyer. I'd like to bring up Luke Werdekemper. He's my nephew visiting from Nebraska. He just got his Eagle Scout, and he's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Luke, can you just tell him when you got it and really quick what your project was?
I got my Eagle Scout last March, and my project was putting in trees and a landscaping area at my school. That's it.
Right? If we all rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And the rest of my family's here too. Fan club.
Thanks, Luke. Appreciate your taking care of that for us. We'll now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. We have a recognition today, and I kind of stepped out of my traditional role as chair and to turn this over to someone else because I know Coach Blaisdell and his bride, and so I'm going to take this honor to read this resolution. Never know if it's a resolution or a proclamation, but this resolution for Coach Blaisdell. Honoring Coach Jim Blaisdell for his remarkable contributions to Weber State University women's track and field and cross country. Whereas Jim Blaisdell inspired thousands of athletes during his 33 years of coaching at Weber State University. He served as coach to the women's track and field and cross country teams. More than 1,000 young women have run for the Wildcats under Blaisdell's guidance, including numerous all-conference athletes and 28 All-Americans. And whereas, during his college years, Blaisdell competed in track and field at Brigham Young University, where he earned All-American honors in the long jump in 1968. He still ranks second in BYU history in the long jump. Prior to coming to Weber State, he coached at the College of Southern Idaho for 6 years and coached numerous junior college All-Americans. One of those All-Americans is Paul Pilkington, a former Weber State runner and the current cross-country and distance coach. He also was an assistant basketball coach for 3 years at Southern Idaho. And whereas, throughout his career, Coach Blaisdell received many distinguished honors. He was named Big Sky Conference Coach of the Year 18 times and District 7 Coach of the Year 4 times. He was selected to serve as the Mountain Region Cross Country Representative for the NCAA for 2 terms and served as the Big Sky Conference Track and Field Representative on the Executive Committee of the Track and Field Coaches Association. And whereas Coach Blaisdell established a long-standing tradition of leading all of his teams to victory from 1990 to 2007, he led Weber State University teams to a span of 50 conference championships in cross-country and track and field, with the Wildcats finishing first or second a total of 42 times. And whereas during Coach Blaisdell's coaching career, he has shown dedication to athletic and academic achievement. He helped students to experience success both on and off the track. Student athletes from as far back as the 1980s continue to pay tribute to their coach, whose influence extended much further than the winner's podium. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell proudly recognize Coach Jim Blaisdell for his many outstanding contributions to Weber State University athletics and the Ogden community. We wish him our best in future endeavors and are confident that his legacy will continue on for many years to come.
And with that, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we adopt Joint Resolution 2014-11.
I second it.
We have a motion to adopt the joint resolution by Vice Chair Gochner and seconded by Councilmember Stevens. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, Coach, come on up and receive your plaque. We want to take some pictures with you. I'll need to shake your hand. Congratulations for a great career. Why don't you come and stand right here and we'll kind of crowd together and get a good.
I have one more person, if all right?
Yes, please do.
Good call.
Sorry, I'm happy to share it. Okay, Councilmember Wicks, I need you to step over a few steps. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
We need to hear from you, too.
Yeah.
Oh, here's your box, though.
He didn't let you know that?
Didn't give you the memo, huh? Yes, please.
Step around the front, please.
All right. Well, Richard and members of the City Council and our mayor, who is not over there right now, but you're also very kind for this award. I'm just an Idaho farm boy, and wanted to find a way to get off the farm and all the many hours of hard work that you do as a farmer, and boy, and I found a great way to do it. It's been just a wonderful, wonderful experience being at Weber State and the support and all the wonderful young women that have gone through the program there. That's just been so neat. A couple of weeks ago, we had a couple little get-togethers and parties, and I had athletes that were there from when I first started, and it's just so neat to see all of them and see what most of them come in with 5 or 6 kids trailing behind them, and that was a pretty neat experience. I want to, Kathy, come on up here, because this is important. Not only did I coach at Weber State, but I coached 6 years at College of Southern Idaho and with basketball and track. And also, I was an athlete for about 10 years. So about 50 years of my life has been involved with that. We have a handicapped daughter, our oldest daughter, and pretty much has to be completely taken care of. So my job is involved with a lot of traveling and being away. And so when I'm away, Kathy took care of Jennifer and our other 5 children. And ended up having to have major back surgery a couple of years ago, which came about because of that. But I could not have done this, not even close, without her support. And I appreciate and love her very much, and I want her to know that. So, but anyway, thanks so much. I appreciate this. It's been a great, great experience. I've mentioned several times that, you know, especially in athletics, you set goals where you want to be. And you also set a goal of retirement down the road. And when you get there, you realize that the fun part in that is getting to that point. Is all those experiences and all those things that take place and getting to that point of retirement. And I really come to realize that in, the last few weeks when I've been officially retired. Anyway, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're so kind and doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. It's been a just mentioned that Coach Blaisdell's wife is on the Planning Commission, has been for 12, 13, 14 years or something now. So she served our city for long and hard also. Thank you all.
She replaced me and did a much better job than I did.
That's what they keep telling me.
Yeah, fall off the floor.
Thank you again. The next item on our agenda is approval of minutes. First minutes are the closed executive session of February 18th, 2014, the work session of May 13th, 2014, and the closed executive session of May 13th, 2014. Vice Chair Cochner.
Thank you. I have reviewed those and found them all to be accurate.
Thank you. And of the special meeting of May 13th, 2014, Councilmember White.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. I've reviewed those and found them to be correct as well.
And the joint study session of May 20th, 2014, and the joint study session of May 27th, 2014. Councilmember Blair.
Yes, thank you. I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be correct.
And the regular meeting of May 27th, 2014, and work session of May 27th, 2014. Councilmember Stevens.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they're correct, and I make a motion that we approve all the minutes that has been presented today.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Stevens, seconded by Councilmember Blair for approval of the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is a public hearing concerning the budget amendment for Trackline Economic Development Area.
Chair, Lisa Stout will give a brief overview of the financial transaction, and then Brandon Cooper will give a brief overview of, for the record, of this project, which we've talked about on numerous occasions.
Thank you. Come forward.
Thank you, council members. It's a pleasure to be here. This is the budget opening for the Ogden City appropriation of CIP fund balance to be moved to the RDA area to fund the Trackline property purchase. And I believe that this has been talked about in work sessions, and if you have any additional questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions for Lisa? Thank you.
Thank you.
Cooper, welcome.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, as you know, we will be purchasing approximately 51 acres through 5 different contracts, and the money that is being discussed tonight is down payment money to be used to secure those contracts, which would then lead to 5 yearly payments of various amounts through as identified in individual contract terms. So the money that is being appropriated through this budget amendment would be used for down payment money only.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cooper?
For the record, do you want to tell us where this is?
Yeah.
Kind of the location?
The Trackline is actually a kind of a misnomer in terms of the project. The Trackline is the economic development area, which consists of 120 acres located at in the West Ogden Union Stockyards, north of 24th Street on B Avenue. The Ogden Business Exchange is the 51-acre project that we would be using the money for. So the actual business park is termed Ogden Business Exchange. We've kind of used those words, Trackline and Business Exchange, hand in hand, but that's the actual project name, and it's different from the Trackline Economic Development Project area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
this is a public hearing concerning this item. If you have comments about the Trackline Economic Development Area, now would be the time to come forward and give us your thoughts.
Seeing no movement, I'll go ahead and make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Gochner, seconded by Councilmember Blair to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
And if there is no further discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 2014-32.
Second.
Have a motion by Vice Chair Gochner, seconded by Councilmember White, to adopt ordinance 2014-32. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gochner?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye. That passes. Next item is the reports from administration concerning traffic safety amendments will be presented.
Chair, before we turn that over to Mr. Williams, I just wanted to make an observation that I saw about 3 days ago. I watched someone who had a sign asking for funds on one of our roads, and across one lane of traffic over, someone going the opposite direction rolled down their window and waved a bill, and this person walked straight across the street with the light stopped and went across there to get it, and the light changed while they were crossing that road. People came across the street in cars, and as they came back, almost caused a major accident and a potential loss of life. And so, as Mr. Williams describes what we're proposing here, I'm sure all of us have witnessed one time or another something like this. And after I saw that, I asked Mr. Williams if it'd be all right if I just relay that's a current experience that happened a few days ago that really concerned me about the safety of the individual crossing the road and potentially of scarring a driver who innocently would have maybe injured that individual. So I think that ought to be considered as Mr. Williams makes his presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We will have public input following his remarks.
Okay, well, Mr. Chair, members of the council, I just wanted to first remind you that you had a pretty substantial work session on this on July 1st. Mayor Brown, my chief deputy city attorney, was there to discuss all the legal ramifications and kind of the balancing act and what we went through to compose this particular ordinance for traffic safety amendments. The overriding policy concern that this is intended to do is to say that a high traffic roadway is no place to do business, especially if between any two people, especially if one of them is a pedestrian. And so that's what this is exclusively focused on, is transactions that are happening within the roadway of a high traffic roadway. And how we've defined that is, as far as speed goes, 35 miles or above. As far as the complexity of the road surface, when there's two or more lanes going in one direction. And so you might have a single lane road going one lane in each direction, but then all of a sudden you get into a turning lane, and therefore the intersection becomes more complex. You get into problems like Mr. Johnson just discussed, where people are crossing multiple lanes of traffic to conduct a transaction in the middle of traffic. And so this is just focused on that curb-to-curb activity. It does not prohibit any activity that otherwise is legal and constitutional on the sidewalks. It's also important to point out that it doesn't talk about one kind of transaction or one kind of communication. It's content neutral as to why. It might be a political communication and somebody's trying to hand out flyers. It might be somebody trying to advertise. It might be somebody collecting signatures on a petition. It might be somebody soliciting donations for themselves or for a charity. It might be all sorts of transactions that are perfectly appropriate in all sorts of places in the city, but not in the middle of a high traffic roadway. And so this is very narrowly focused on and narrowly tailored to the city's interest to promote safety. I asked the police department to check their numbers, and they don't keep great detail, but they gave me at least this much detail on what the pedestrian accidents have been like in the last 5 years. These are pedestrian auto accidents. There have been 139 pedestrian auto accidents in the last 5 years in Ogden City. 10 of them were fatal, and 122 of them were with injury. And so that's about 2 accidents a month, and quite a few fatalities in that situation. And so there really are some concerns. I do not believe that this statute will make all of those go away. And I also do not believe that transactions within the roadway only cause pedestrian concerns, because they can just as likely distract drivers who are trying to maneuver either to communicate with the person the pedestrian that's trying to come out, or trying to avoid them because they're moving about in the traffic. Either of those circumstances can cause vehicle-to-vehicle accidents and other things where somebody takes evasive action that's unexpected. And so the idea is all those transactions should happen outside of the high-traffic roadway. There is another concept, and that is of driveway approaches. If they're going into a high-traffic roadway, then we don't want them distracted, because right there, they're merging into traffic. They're merging into quick traffic and complicated traffic. And so this also extends to driveway approaches, but only those that are going in the high-traffic roadway. And so there are still streets in Ogden, many of them, that would not be applicable to this particular ordinance. And then, of course, the sidewalks and all sorts of public places, all these transactions can usually take place. But this is just narrowly tailored to take care of our safety concerns. I think that's basically the summary I plan to give, but I will say one other thing. The comment that Mark said that he wanted to make was not isolated. You know, as this particular ordinance became public, people came up to me and started offering all kinds of stories of close calls that they saw. And Mark was one of them. And I said, well, go ahead, tell your story, because I'm getting those from many locations. And it almost doesn't need to be said, because a high traffic area is not a place for pedestrians. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, actually. I think it might be well if you were to explain if someone were seeking donations from a sidewalk where it would be legal. In order to receive that donation, the driver would then need to be pulling over into a legal spot, which would be how far from the intersection?
Well, he just needs to be parked. And so whatever might constitute parking, depending on the circumstance. If he's legally parked, whether it's a parking place or a shoulder or somewhere else that he would otherwise be able to legally park, he's not going to have any problem. And I failed to mention one other thing. This is not just a prohibition against those who are the pedestrians seeking to do business. This is also an education and a warning that they could also be cited if a driver tries to entice somebody into the roadway to conduct a transaction. And so drivers need to be educated and understand. In fact, our police department are going to be going through an education program, and they're still working on the details of it. But they want to make sure that people know, both those who might solicit a business transaction and those who might be driving by and wanted to engage in it, that this isn't the place. Pull over, park, do it somewhere else, but not in a high-traffic roadway. And so that's an important element, that not only is it content neutral, but it's also neutral as to which party may be cited for it.
So both parties could be cited, is that correct?
Both parties could be cited, yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Williams? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We do want to hear your comments. This is a time for us to accept public input concerning the traffic safety amendment. So if you have comments that you'd like to come, would you please come forward? Give us your name and address, please. And I think we get 4 minutes for this one? 5 minutes, okay.
My name is Kathy Merrill, and I live at 1959 Van Buren in Ogden. And I would just like to stress that I would really like to see this passed, because I work outside the city, and so I come in on the freeway entrances, either the 30th or the 20th. And there has been so many times I have almost hit people. I also pick up my grandson in Clearfield, and he's with me. And just to see the terror on his face when I almost hit somebody, he's just terrified in the car. And it's not just the high traffic ones. We've had it happen when I'm just like traveling down Wall Avenue, where they've just come out because somebody's been there. And I realize that some of these people need the money, and I realize that some of them don't. But it's putting our safety, their safety. Even if nothing happens to me, if I hit them with the car, I cannot imagine how I would feel for the rest of my life. So I would really, really like to see this passed. I was just counting up the other day, and from what I can remember in the last 3 months, it's been almost 15 times I've almost hit somebody. And in every instance, it's because they've been crossing. I've been like on the outside, and they've been on the inside, and they cross the lanes of traffic to pick up money from people, and I'm coming down. And I'm not doing fast when I hit, especially like 20th and Wall, because the traffic is pretty slow right there when you're coming to the light. But they just can dash out before you have a chance to do anything. And it's just really terrifying. And I would really like to encourage you to pass this so that we can be safe and they can be safe and our kids can feel safe when they're with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else? Okay. What's your pleasure?
I'll just relay an issue that I saw happen. I was parked on 30th Street, headed westbound at the light at Wall, and there was somebody coming out from the north side of the street into what is the turn lane to turn northbound onto Wall Avenue, and somebody came out they had a sign. Somebody in one of the lanes further south on 30th was going to give them some money. They jumped out into the street, and just as that happened, there was somebody who was traveling. They probably shouldn't have been traveling in the turn lane, but they were. They were going kind of fast, even though traffic was stopped, and almost hit the person who was jumping out into the street to try to get the money before the light changed. And you see instances sometimes too where they're still out in the street when the light changes to green, and that impedes the flow of traffic and creates a safety hazard as well. So
I too have had similar experiences, and mostly at night, and that's even harder to see. So,
Anyone care to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, could I make one comment?
Yes,
Just
sir.
suggest that if Mr. Williams knows any more about the education component and the enforcement component, when will that be occurring and how will that occur? Sounds like some of the details still need to be worked out, but do we know the components?
Well, I know in our work session, Chief Ashman gave us some examples of cards that they're currently using to do some education. I'm assuming it may be
So
something similar.
they have a way of tracking when they give warnings. And so what they're going to do is first go and give cards, and they're having them pre-printed, and say, you're not going to be able to do it in these areas, and try to explain to the people, and then put in the system that so-and-so has been given a warning. And so they'll probably give them cards first, then there'll be a warning, and then if they ignore that after the warning, then they're subject to citation. But the so that's to deal with most of the pedestrians that are out that we see that we can give. But what they're trying to do is work out also a public education program for the drivers, and the details of that I don't have yet.
Gary, the cards that they've been handing out were based on the law that was changed at the legislature. They'll enhance these cards now if you pass this tonight. And I looked back and see Mitch, and I think Mitch could probably do a lot to help us with the standard examiner with some public awareness to inform the drivers that they need to be careful, and I'm sure he's willing to help us with that.
Well, and maybe they need to have warning cards devoted to the drivers too,
Right.
that give them some information on ways to help people that don't put people at risk in doing so.
It may have that, but like I say, this isn't just about solicitation, but it could be about business, and so it may not always be appropriate. I guess is the question, is the issue. It could be a business, a political interaction, all sorts of different things. But I think that that's a good idea, and other communities have done that.
In my metrics-driven mind, I would like to continue to track that too, to see if our pedestrian automobile accidents actually do decrease. I mean, I think that would be an important metric to watch.
We'll pass that on to the chief.
We will check it, but I'll just tell you that it will be just the big picture metric, because we weren't tracking it before as to how many of these were soliciting in some sort of transaction. So we won't have that sort of carry forward data, just so you understand that there's some limitations.
We could probably track the citations, which would give you an idea of how many times they're citing people.
But we certainly can get the injury accident information from now to the future.
It would be possible to have the council receive some information about the education program once it's defined.
Yes. Yes, yep. I'll talk to the police chief and ask him to do that once he gets it ready. And it will be Lieutenant Cottrell who's heading up that effort right now. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I would just like to thank Gary Williams for this. I know this was a concern that many have raised, and I think we all can relate stories like that, where we've seen someone either in harm's way or someone who could have been in harm's way. And so I think this is a good thing for both for just our city and our residents. And if there's no other further comment, I will go ahead and make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2014-33.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Vice Chair Gochner to adopt ordinance 2014-33. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gochner?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye. That passes. We hope this will increase the safety of our citizens, the drivers that are coming through. I think we could go on for a long time reciting our own experience with tragedies that may have happened or did happen, and hopefully this will help a lot. I think that it is important to note that this doesn't prohibit any activity. It just prohibits it in a danger zone, that it just needs to move a little bit to be legal.
I think that's important to know. I mean, we're not trying to violate people's free speech.
That's right.
But I think there is a very real safety issue created by people who are, habitually doing this, and a warning's not going to work with them. I read the editorial in the Standard Examiner. It said, just warn them. Well, you can warn them for the rest of their lives, and unless there is some way to address the issue, it's not going to stop them from doing it.
I think the component is safety for those individuals, plus the roadways that we have in our city.
Sure. Okay, well, it looks like our agenda, we might want to take a little, we have a closed executive session as item 8, but public comment is item 9. I think it would be appropriate that we move item 9 ahead of the closed executive session so that anyone that is here that would like to make public comment could do so before without having to wait for that.
Your practice is just to have a motion to do so.
So I'd make a motion to move the public comments ahead of the closed executive session.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move the public comment ahead of the closed executive session. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. This is now public comment time. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding your concerns or ideas. Please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit your time to 3 minutes.
I'm David Crosby. Now it's my turn. I'm sick and tired of the cops when I call in for some stuff that happened in my neighborhood, where I get third degree every freaking time I call. I get after question, and people on the phone and dispatch said, "I can't understand you," make fun of my speech impairment. I'm so sick and tired of calling and trying to get anything done when people are breaking into the church up there, but they're turned down. Nobody wants to listen to me, what I say. All of this I want to do is make fun of me.
Okay.
I'm so sick and tired of it. I'm about to say, okay, if dispatch don't do anything, to heck with the law. Just do whatever we want.
You're calling Ogden City Police, is that right?
Yeah, Ogden City Dispatch, and again, treat like I'm a piece of dirt from the dispatch. Like I don't count for nothing. And I'm so sick and tired of that.
If you'll give me your last name and your phone number after we adjourn here, I'll try and pass it on to dispatch. Ogden City does not have their own dispatch. We go through Weber County Dispatch.
On my phone, I don't have a phone. I've been using my Obama phone.
So I'm more than happy to talk to the supervisor of dispatch and tell her the problem. So if you'll talk to me right after, David, I'll be happy to help you.
And then I got one more thing. Right? When the cops are busting somebody on the roads here, they gotta turn the lights off so people see the corner when they come through the intersection. The lights are so bright you can't even see across the street. With the headlights coming at you, the overheads, all the bright lights, you can't see nothing. And it's very dangerous when you try and cross the intersection when you can't see what's coming at you or on the side of you. Very inconsiderate.
Okay, thank you, David. We will make note of that.
And then one more thing. When they had a fire up on a mountain here, cops treated me like I was totally ignorant. They said, "You go home now." That's all they said. I asked questions, they said, "Oh, you go home now." Ogden City cops told me that. We didn't answer no question. They said, "Go home." I get treated like dirt with Ogden City cops. I'm tired of it.
Okay.
Either I want do a ride along with one, tell them everything that's wrong with their system. That'd be a way to solve that problem.
Okay.
Do a ride along with one, show them what all the problems are.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is consideration of a closed executive session. Mr. Williams?
A closed executive session is permissible for the purposes set forth in the agenda.
With that, I will go ahead and make a motion that we adjourn into a closed executive session.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Councilmember Wicks, to move into a closed executive session. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Wicks?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gochner?
Aye.
Chair Heyer?
Aye, that passes. We will come back into the chambers here to continue this meeting and then to move into the next items on tonight's agenda, so stay tuned. We're back from our closed executive session and continuing the city council meeting. We are at item number 10 on our agenda. There's comments from administration.
Thanks, Chair. Just a couple comments. Number one, I wanted to say what a successful Pioneer Days I think we had with the parades and the rodeo. I cannot thank enough our Public Ways and Parks Department, our Fire Department, our Police Department. They put in thousands of hours during that couple of weeks, and I'm really grateful for what they achieve. I'm also grateful for the Pioneer Committee. They put on a great event, and a lot of the people that we had come from outside our area to witness it were just in awe. Ken Bullock told me that he's never ever been in a rodeo stadium that was as gorgeous and beautiful, and he really enjoyed it. And I don't think we're going to get him on a bull, but I think the comments we've gotten have been tremendous. The other comment I had, I just thought I'd give you an update on our 100-day cleanup, which is now down to 3 or 4 days cleanup. We had 527 projects that were compiled. 430 as of Monday morning have been completed. We've had 7,330 volunteers and 47,411 hours donated to our city. As I've driven around, I don't know about you, but I get comments from about every person I talk to about the improvement and the change in the city. And it's not perfect, but it's a huge increase in beauty and curb appeal that I think has been magnificent. We've had groups from everywhere who have come and helped and participated, and I think rolled up their sleeves and developed a little ownership of Ogden, which I think is a very, very wonderful experience. Some of the road closures, 20th Street will be opening, I think, Friday morning. Grant Avenue, part of it will open either today or tomorrow. They were supposed to asphalt between 21st and 20th on Grant. I'm hoping that was done today. I'm not real sure. They've got to stripe a few things, and they were hoping that rain will discontinue so they can stripe. They have absolutely taken on more road projects and got them completed than I have ever seen. And the comments we're getting on the Grant Promenade, number one comment I get is, I hope you guys are going to continue it. And I said, absolutely, that is our goal, to stretch it from 18th Street to 25th Street at least. But the road has just been getting rave reviews from everyone about what a gorgeous road it is, and it really is beautiful. But our guys and the contractors that have worked for us have really, really gone the extra mile to try and have things ready. So all in all, I think the city's ready for the onslaught. It begins Friday. We're not real sure what to expect, and we're hearing that we'll be somewhere between 20 and 22,000 people a day for 37 days. And so that'll be an adventure. I hope our citizens are patient. I hope our citizens realize that what a great privilege this is to have so many people come and be able to view our city and spend some money in our city and hopefully come back and visit our city once again. So we've tried to put our best foot forward to reach out and get them to explore the city and learn about and see what's changed in our city. So good things happening. We have Tour of Utah next week. We have a special event this weekend, this Saturday night, which Bill will be telling you about. It's a big surprise to the community. So if you're bored in Ogden, you're just not getting out and participating. Farmers Market has been a smashing success, and the merchants are growing down the street. Last week there was the most they've ever had. I think some of it is the visitors that will be coming the next 6 Saturdays is increasing some of the attendance down there. But the entire 25th Street feels really, really excited about the fact that we've stretched it all the way down the street. So I think nothing but good is going on right now, and hopefully, I know several people at the Olympics didn't enjoy it. They worked so hard and they were so involved, they didn't take time to enjoy it, and then the Olympics were gone. And we've been telling our people that they need to enjoy all of these events that are happening this summer and make sure that they don't miss it, because it's kind of a historic opportunity to have this many people come and see our city and visit our city, and we need to make sure we're out enjoying it and being a good ambassador so that people will come back and back and back and back. Brigham City has talked about the fact that they've had numerous people come back to their city, go to their restaurants, and they've really benefited long into the future. The press has been asking us continually lately, what's the economic return going to be in these next 6 weeks? And we tell them that's insignificant compared to the long term, that it'll bring the value to the city that we think will happen. So thank you. Enough said.
Thanks, Mark. We have some information from Hove that Vice Chair Gochnour is going to tell us all about.
Hey, that's kind of a hard act to follow. But earlier this month, I had the opportunity to visit Hof, Germany, which has been Ogden's sister city for 60 years. So let me give you just a couple of quick facts about them. They have a population of 45,000. They have 41 council members, representing 6 political parties. They have a mayor who's elected by the community, and then they have 2 assistant mayors that come from those 41 council members. And one is over the school system, and the other one is over sports. And that leads to the first photo. So a number of years ago, they actually created this lake, and all sorts of sporting events happen there. I guess this is just like a sports exercise crazy place. They have other sister cities in Brazil, Finland, France, and the Czech Republic. Let's see, the other really interesting fact for me was that before the reunification of Germany, this was the border city to East Germany. And so in 1989, when the wall came down and all that was happening, they had thousands of people from East Germany that flocked into this community. So, I mean, I just had no idea about any of that. You, of course, know I had to see if they have a pool. They have 2. They have an indoor pool and a 50-meter outdoor pool. They have a super cool historic downtown. I guess you can, let's see what's next. They have this really historic downtown. This is the public park in the heart of the community. And apparently they win all sorts of awards throughout Europe for this park. You can go to the next one. Amy's kind of referred to this, and I think maybe Bart too. So they have this area carved out of the park where they have signage. Go ahead to the next one. And these are all, I don't know if you can see it very well, but they have like 5 signs that are all from Ogden. Can you guys see those? And it just started out as just this local community member's idea to have this signage area, and they're like, well, okay. And it's just grown by leaps and bounds, and they have them from all over the world. And sorry, we needed a photographer along on the trip, but one in the shadow, it shows Ogden, Utah, and how many miles to get here. Go ahead. They had Utah license plates. This is the restaurant right across the street from that park. This is a terrible picture, but I just wanted to give you an idea. This is where the council members meet. I'm not really sure how they get 41 in that room, but they do. So the big thing for this community when you visit is they take you up through this spiral staircase in the municipal building, and you get to view the city. So this is the view from the top. And another view from the top. This is their mayor. I will crucify his name, Harold. Dr. Harold Fichtner. He is a marathon runner, so I actually extended an invitation to him to come to our 15th Ogden Marathon next spring, and he's thinking about it. And on behalf of the Gull Foundation, I also talked to him and the council members about considering starting a sister marathon there. And the whole idea with that would be that the winners of our marathon would go and participate in theirs and vice versa. And they got actually quite excited about the idea. This is lunch with them, some of the council members, and they were delightful. And that's what we had, and it was delicious. I hope you get the idea.
Was
German
it
food.
wild mushroom season while you were there?
No. Just some
Maybe that's a little
plantings
bit later.
downtown. They had a beautiful area. Okay, so this is the fountain that we've talked quite a bit about, but there it is. That we've talked about the idea of maybe having something along that model here, and couldn't resist the flower picture, the next one. That's just in their historic downtown. Okay, so the Sausage Man. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look in that the display case back there, but there's a little replica of that sausage maker, and they have 5 to 6 varieties of sausage, and it's boiled on a portable coal-fired cauldron. And we're going to talk about food trucks tonight. Well, it's like this big deal, and they only have 6 licenses in this community, and it's the only place in Europe where you can get these. So actually that Sausage Man apparently has been to the Hof Festival in Ogden in years past. Go ahead. Up close view of him. this is the university there. It's called the University of Applied Science. They have 2,300 students and apparently have quite a bit of good relationships with Weber State and have other international students from all over the world, especially Brazil. And this is my last slide. This is a picture of the socks that Councilmember Wicks knitted for Mr. Klaus.
He sent me a picture of her wearing them too and said they fit perfect with the Weber. She's the next Weber State student from Hull.
We did give her a Weber State onesie as well. And they were just very hospitable and gracious, and they sent us this book about their region. It's kind of the Upper Bavaria region, so that's here for you all to read. And then they give this much too heavy plaque that I had to carry home, but it's just commemorating our 60-year sister city partnership. So I'm just thrilled that I had the opportunity to go do that. And a contingent is coming in January to our Hof Festival. So I think it'll be really fun for everybody to meet them. So I don't know if you want to get a picture of everybody. So thank you for letting me represent Ogden. It was really fun.
We need a cardboard cutout of Neil since he is here.
Yeah. Photoshop. There you go.
Neil, when you get back, I'll take some pictures of you with the flag. Thank you.
All right, well, that was a nice report. Thank you. Council members, any other comments?
It's a fun place to visit if you ever get the chance.
Okay.
And just to second Mark's comments, and on the 23rd of July, Mother Nature even blessed our beautiful rodeo grounds with a double rainbow, and many people saw that, but you won't see that in any other type of stadium, so it was beautiful.
I did get some pictures of that. My children were there, and it was what a wonderful event that is. What a great place to be in the month of July as in Ogden, Utah.
They don't have the rainbow at the Salt Lake Rodeo.
Or the skydivers.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Vice Chair Gottner, seconded by Councilmember Blair for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, there will be a special redevelopment agency meeting following this meeting, followed by city council work sessions, and those items are on those agendas.